Extraordinary jewelry always causes admiration and awe. And although all the royal families of Europe have something to boast about, but undoubtedly one of the most expensive and luxurious jewelry collections in the world belongs to the now-deceased Queen Elizabeth II of Great Britain. In this review we will talk about the luxurious collection of tiaras. First, let's understand how such precious headdresses as tiaras differ from each other. Graceful and romantic tiaras usually have a lighter design and the same width throughout. They are more suitable for young princesses. Diadems are slightly more massive than tiaras and are often shaped like a crown, rising to the top and tapering to the edges. They are more suitable for queens. Tiaras often have the appearance of a headband, while tiaras are closed into a ring. One of the most beautiful pieces of jewelry of British monarchs is George IV's tiara. It is also called the diamond tiara. It is also one of the most famous. It is in it that Elizabeth II is often depicted on stamps and banknotes. It is also worn by the Queen when she attends the opening of Parliament. It was made in 1820 at the Randall Company, the same place where the crown of the British Empire was made. The tiara's prongs are alternating crosses and bouquets of the symbols of Scotland, England, and Ireland, thistle, rose, and shamrock respectively. It is literally sprinkled with diamonds. And in the middle of the front cross there is a 4-carat yellow diamond. And the base is decorated with a double row of pearls. George IV wore this tiara on the day of his coronation in 1821, which was celebrated with extraordinary splendor. Since the tiara, unlike the monarch's crown, is not covered with velvet, George wore it over a red velvet Spanish hat during the ceremony. A curious detail, in those days it was customary to borrow gemstones for the coronation. So the bill for the tiara included some sum for borrowed diamonds. However, there is no trace that the stones were taken out of the setting. It is likely that an exchange may well have taken place, and the king returned the diamonds in this elegant tiara instead of diamonds from some old jewelry in the royal treasury. Subsequently, this diamond tiara, named in his honor, was worn by both reigning queens and the consorts of kings. Good thing it turned out to be unusually feminine, although it was made for a man. French tiara of King George III. The tiara was also commissioned by the parents of the beautiful Augusta of Hesse-Kassel, who in 1818 married Adolf Frederick, Duke of Cambridge, the youngest son of King George III. The tiara, made in the then fashionable medieval, Gothic style, was a wedding present. 19 diamond-studded arches crowned with the notorious knots. In addition, it was adorned with 38 pearls. 19 were attached to the knots at the bottom as pendants, and 19 were attached to them on top. Augusta wore it, among other things, at the coronation of Queen Victoria. In 1843 she gave it to her daughter, Princess Augusta, who married the Duke of Mecklenburg-Schwerin, and the tiara was passed down in that family for several generations. It is not known exactly when it left the family, but relatively recently, in 1981, it was offered at a Christie's auction. Who bought it and where it is now it is not known, the buyer remained anonymous. But back to the English tiara. In 1893, the granddaughter of Augusta, the daughter of her younger daughter Mary Adelaide, Princess May, became the wife of the future King George V. Apparently mesmerized by the beauty of her grandmother's tiara, which had passed to her aunt, she ordered a copy made in 1913. The pearls on the top edge of the tiara were made removable, and later all in the firm, Garrard, replaced them with large diamonds. 4 of them were designed as pendants to a pearl necklace that Queen Mary sometimes wore with the tiara, which became known as the Cambridge tiara, because it was modeled on the Duchess of Cambridge's tiara. The tiara subsequently passed to Elizabeth II. The Queen wore it from time to time, and when in 1981 Prince Charles was going to marry Lady Diana Spencer, Her Majesty made a luxurious wedding gift to her future daughter-in-law. The day before the wedding, Lady Diana visited the Queen, and she gave her an emerald necklace and Cambridge tiara with lovers' knots. It is said that Diana did not wear it at the wedding because she found it too heavy, which, however, did not prevent her from wearing it very often afterwards. And perhaps of all the royal tiaras, this one is the most famous. After all, few people have been photographed so much and looked at in great detail as Lady Diana. However, after her divorce from Prince Charles, the tiara returned to the Queen. Charles's second wife, Camilla, can sometimes be seen wearing it. Russian Kokoshnik tiara. In 1888, the Prince and Princess of Wales, the future King Edward VII and Queen Alexandra, were celebrating their silver wedding anniversary. A group of noble ladies, calling themselves the Ladies of the Society, numbering 365 ladies, were preparing to present their future queen with one of the most brilliant gifts of all, a tiara. Wanting to make sure it would be something the queen would love and wear, they asked for some advice on what she might like. And at her request, this Russian tiara was born. Alexandra's request was probably inspired by her sister Dagmar's jewelry. Dagmar, or Minnie as she was affectionately known, became Empress Maria Fyodorovna of Russia and owned an absolutely stunning jewelry collection. The tiara for Alexandra was a variation of the Russian fringe, which was terribly popular at the time. Today, many people prefer to refer to this particular tiara as Alexandra's Russian fringe. The rounded sections were shaped like a kokoshnik, a traditional Russian headdress, usually made of cloth but adorned with jewelry in the Russian imperial court. Alexandra's kokoshnik was made by the jewelry house of Gerard and included 61 platinum beams, 488 diamonds, the largest of which weighed 3.25 carats apiece. This tiara was presented to Alexandra by Lady Salisbury. After Alexandra's death, Queen Mary wore the tiara. In terms of size, it's not the largest tiara in the British royal collection, and it doesn't include the largest individual stones, but it's a whole fortress of diamonds right on the head. Wedding crown or tiara from the girls of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. This tiara was one of the wedding gifts of the future Queen Mary in 1893, and it was given to her by the girls of Great Britain and Ireland. In particular, a committee of them chaired by Lady Eva Greville. The committee raised over £5,000 and purchased this tiara from the jewelry house Garrad and then donated the remainder of the funds to charity at the request of the princess. The tiara is a composition of diamond garlands and scrolls set on a bandeau of round and diamond lozenges. It was originally topped with 9 large pearls and could also be worn as a necklace. But Queen Mary never left her jewelry alone, and so the original version didn't last long. In 1914, she removed the pearl jewelry and replaced it with simpler diamond rings. She also removed the base of the tiara and used it as a separate bandeau. The Vladimir tiara survived the revolution and turmoil of the early 20th century, eventually becoming one of the most significant royal jewels. The first owner of the tiara was Grand Duchess Maria Pavlovna, a powerful and ambitious woman about whom the court official General Mosolov wrote in his memoirs. There was no court in St. Petersburg more popular and influential than the court of the Grand Duchess Maria Pavlovna, the wife of Vladimir Alexandrovich. In 1874, Grand Duke Vladimir Alexandrovich ordered this tiara to the court jeweler Karl Bolin as a wedding gift to his bride, Duchess Maria Mecklenburg-Schwerin, which cost him 48,200 rubles. This luxurious headdress consisted of 15 overlapping diamond rings, in the center of each of which there was a pendant of a large drop-shaped pearl. After the revolution and the fall of the monarchy, Maria Pavlovna hurriedly left for Kislovodsk, but the money and jewelry remained in the Vladimir Palace. The Grand Duchess was able to return them with the help of British diplomatic courier Albert Stopford, who in July 1917 secretly entered the palace and took all the most valuable things. There are 2 versions of the penetration into the palace. According to one, in order not to attract attention, Stopford changed into a woman's dress. According to the other version, together with Stopford for the jewelry went to Maria Pavlovna's eldest son Grand Duke Boris Vladimirovich. They were disguised in the costumes of workers, which allowed them to get to the cash without arousing the suspicion of the palace caretaker. It is not known exactly how they managed to smuggle the money and jewelry to London. It is likely that Stoppard used his diplomatic status or enlisted the help of an acquaintance from the British Navy traveling out of Russia.